Racing 393 here again today. Well, we're still on the radio controlled side of things. Just move that out of the way there. Move that over. Yes, we're back onto the Eclipse 4, my sort of project for my 1/12 Pro LMP build. If you remember, last time that we were doing this, we fitted the small half-height servo, the receiver, and we cut the wheel arches and sort of got the body fitted to where we want to run it based on the settings. I messed around with the ride heights and got the car sitting what I think is as low as I want to get it sat, and what I think would work on a carpeted track, for example. And we left it that what we're going to get next would be a combination. It would either be a motor and an electronic speed controller and battery. So we're looking now at sort of the end part of this build to get it to run. And what I settled with, I got an electronic speed controller and a programmable box that apparently is needed for this one. I've done a lot of research because I must admit, the electronic speed controller, as simple as they are on the other radio controlled cars that I have, they're a little bit of an unknown art. There's a bit of a black art to them. I wouldn't say that I'm particularly well educated by the ins and outs of an electronic speed controller and how and why it works. I've got a rough idea, obviously. But, so, after a lot of research and considering that I'm trying to build this to race spec, settled on a hobby wing, which is put in front here now, Run XR10 Pro 1S edition. Now this alone has cost me near on 170 quid, which is probably the single most expensive unknown item that I've bought for any radio controlled car in my life. You know, a motor's a motor at the end of the day. I do understand how the winds work and basically what to aim for, but there were so many options on this. You get cheap ones, which I could have got. I picked up an electronic speed controller, put a brushed motor in. I've got brushed motors. The electronic speed controller has been about 18 quid, and I can still run this on the normal nickel metal hydrate battery. It doesn't have to be a 1S LiPo. So I do understand there is a much cheaper way of doing this, but I thought, well, I'm trying not to cut too many corners. It's going to take a bit of a while for me to gather the funds together, considering currently what we're all not doing. So this is what I've settled on. So I'm going to unbox it. I'm going to talk to you to the best of my knowledge about it, and then we'll go from there. So I'll just open it off camera. So here it is, the Run XR10 Pro 1S. So we're going to grab this out of the box. You can see it's really, really tiny. If I just put my finger in there, I've got an average size human finger. It's not some, you know, Chernobyl type of finger. It's not very I don't know how to get this out actually. I'm going to bring out the whole box and just see what we're faced with, because the box this sits in opens. So we have got a wire I'm going to have to look at first off. So here's the actual controller. It is fairly straightforward. I mean, there's not a lot to it. You've got your wires that go to the motor. The other two wires go to the battery. What's that other wire do? Three wires, isn't it? On a brushless motor, three wires go to the motor, and two wires go to the battery. This obviously goes to the receiver, and then we've got that there can be used for the programming or the brushless sensor. So very tiny actually. What I might do, I don't know if I can put that there. I'm not sure if you're better see that properly. You might not be able to see much. I'll just bung that there for a second. What else can I tell you about it? So it's the actual weight. Well, the actual weight weighs 35.6 grams. So as far as where it goes in the car, plenty of room. It's going to fall in there. It's probably the challenge in this vehicle is probably where you put the wires, to be honest with you. So I'm going to put a brushless motor in this, and the battery configuration, obviously I say obviously, it's got 1S edition, so as a LiPo you can only go up to 1S. I'm in two minds, because you can put any connector you want on this, like battery connector and I suppose motor connector, but I know the motor wires generally plug straight in, hence these sort of the way this is done. But I can run a 3 to 4 nickel metal hydride battery. Now I've got to buy a battery, I've got to buy one anyway. It just depends on how I connect it to this. Obviously the best way would be without any battery connections, just direct. I understand that. I've got to buy a battery, so I need to work out what I want to do first. So yeah, so you've got the wire, you can see the sensor wire. Actually looking at this, I might have no, there we go, that was what I was thinking about. You can see there, if I put that closer, that's the sensor wire. Sorry. I did say that the other connection there, that was for like the sensor, but it's actually for upgrading, that 3-pin there for upgrading on via the box, the LED box, or I guess putting an external fan or something to keep it cool. Now I'm not going to go through all the technical information, not just yet. I'll just talk you through the basics. I think we've got in here. We've got like a couple of manuals, but I've got a PDF downloaded anyway. A couple of stickers, so they can go on the car. It's quite nice. Got another sticker here. Just warning you that you only use 1S LiPo. Never to use 2 or 3S LiPo. Well, to me that means never use 2S. Anything above 1S. Why? I don't know why they've got to put 2 or 3. Well, if 2's bad, surely 3's bad, in my opinion. You've got here item value. I'm actually not sure what that is. I'll probably will find that out, I expect. A couple of cable ties, zip ties, and a connection lead. I'm guessing that would be for the programmable LED LCD display box. So that's there. There's quite a lot in this other bit here. They've crammed it in here. I don't know how I'm going to get it all back out again, but let's have a look. So we've got some wires. So you can see there the wires haven't got the ends on. Got to put that on yourself depending on which way you run this. Got some more wires here. So they're thicker wires, these ones ain't as thick, so I'm guessing those thick wires must go to the motor, and exactly the same but slightly thinner. It's got on there what they are, I'm not going to read it now, but I'm guessing they go to the battery, or would that be the other way around? I don't know, I'll have to find out. Just got to put this back on. My OCD will kick in. I like everything to be back so I know where it is. The challenge is going to be installation. Now I have read about the installation. It doesn't actually seem that bad. So that's those. And there's still a couple more bits in there, connectors, I guess. We've just got some coat-like connectors, which, well, they're not connectors, they're like sleeves. They're just sleeves, which go over the wires when you do that. So that's that. So let's just talk a little bit about this speed controller. I tell you what surprises me is that I've never realised quite how much a speed controller can be adjusted. And the performance. I mean, I've got speed controllers, electronic speed controllers on all my electric radio control cars, and they're simply plug and play. On one of them you can adjust quite a lot of the parameters, but I haven't really messed around with it too much. This is absolutely beyond what I expected. However, for people like myself, the good thing is it's got a couple of modes on it, which, if I just scoot over to the right, I'm just trying to look down the instructions, just bear with me a minute. So we've got a couple of preset modes for different types of racing, which is where I'll definitely start. We've got modes 1 to 5. Now this can be set on the LCD programmable box. So mode 1 is for 0 timing. So that's for all stock racing requiring users to use 0 timing, the Blinky program, which is what I think my understanding is that's what a lot of the racers use. So the Blinky program on the ESCs. Mode 2, TC Modify. Modify class of 112 racing, on-road racing. So I'm guessing that's the open class. Although I might build it to open class, I'll only run it on at the moment on stock timing. Mode 3 is just for practice. It's got a reverse function activated, practice and sport mode. Mode 4 is to do with the turns of the motor, so stock 13.5 turns. That's the open stock class of 112 on-road, and then you've got the 17.5 turn, which is the open stock class. So I'm tempted to go 13, but probably be blown away with 17.5 anyway. And another thing that I'd just like to point out to you, which is to do with the mode and the setting of this, which I thought was quite good. So we've got different modes on here as well, which option 1 is forward with brake. Basically that would be your racing mode. And option 2 is probably where I'll start, is your forward reverse with a brake. And they call that the training mode. It's got a bit more detail on there as well, but that's where I'm going to probably start. So I'm going to keep it relatively simple and have the excess to do beyond what I'm probably capable of doing, but yeah, at least it's got settings which I can start with. So that's that. Now I've just got one more thing to open. The other thing I bought was, which I put in front there, was the programmable box that could be used with this speed controller. This was another 20 quid. So all in all, that was about nearly just shy of 200 quid. It's not. It wasn't clear whether this was definitely needed. I think it might be. I think because to access some of those settings, I think yes. I think you're going to have to know which mode to put it in. So that makes sense. You can't do that. It's nothing. It's not an LCD display on the speed controller there. So we'll get this out. I'm not going to turn it all on, as you can see, but it's, yeah, it's all right. It is what it is. What kind of buttons on there? So we've got value up and down. Our item. That's what that's for. So we've got this sticker here. That clearly goes onto that. I didn't know that because without that you wouldn't know. And we've got a connection on that side. Battery check, and on here I'll type C the USB, ESC, and it looks like a battery connection on the other side there. Let's put that there. We can see that. Hopefully you can see that. What else we've got in the box here? There's not a huge amount. Instructions. Got another one of these. I guess for the connection. And we've got the USB. We've got loads of these anyway, but how to connect it. So fairly straightforward. Nothing too tricky. So it's set up really to, on the presets on the electronic speed controller that I can set it at. My next purchase, I can't really do a lot with this until I get the next two items, which is the motor, pinion, and the battery. I'm tempted to stick to the nickel metal hydride because that's what I've got. It'll make the car a bit heavier, I get that, and I know it won't be as quick. I don't really want to go LiPo just yet. I've got to buy a battery, so I think I'll just buy a specific one for this, because it's easier for me to maintain that, because for the LiPos you do need to have proper storage, and you've got to start thinking about storage charges and low voltage cut-offs, which you don't have to do on the nickel metal hydride to the best of my knowledge. It just runs until it goes slow and you bring it back. So I think for now, considering this car won't be just run every weekend, yeah, so that's the plan, Stan. What's next? So just to sort of put a bit of forward thinking into people that are watching this, my next video, hopefully, will be, once the weather's dried out, will be my second speed run with my TT01 chassis car. I will put a link in the description for where you can watch the first video, and I have done a few adjustments to that vehicle, hopefully get a little bit more performance out of it, and I think probably more importantly get a little bit myself, a little bit more relaxed and a bit more natural. I think sometimes when you're recording you tend to overthink some simple things, and it's not until you actually watch the video back. I think it's important, and I think it's all part of that learning curve. There's a lot of things I need to change with my outdoor recording. I know what they are. I will do that next time. But the next run I'll do will probably be later next week. The weather it's too wet at the moment, so as my dog drinks the water. Yeah, so watch out for another video. But again, I'll put the link to that other video in the description. Well, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed listening and watching. Feel free to follow, click the like button or the dislike button. It doesn't really matter. But I would only say if you put the dislike, if it's something you don't like, put what it is. Likes are good, dislikes are good, because if it's something you don't like, you might not like how and what I'm doing, but you know, be honest about it, because at least I know I might be able to change how I'm doing it as any way forward. Anyway, like I say, thanks for your time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.